from the development committee, and this will not give the city the responsibility of policing and enforcing soil erosion and construction unless verified developer has approved their approval from the governing state agency. So, saying all that, maybe if
Sure.
Mr. Meacham would like.
Questions you guys have?
All right, so the way it's worded, that anything that's gonna be more than 1 acre disturbed has to be, you have to go through this process.
Yes, and it's a free permit. It's described on there. It's a very basic set of plans. It can be done probably by a contractor, would not require an engineer, depending on the scale of it. I know we've discussed some residential operations. If you own 2 acres and you want to deforest it, if you want to clear the trees off of it, then that could be a very simple hand sketch that will get that permit. But, you know, if you're doing 40 acres and doing mass grade changes, then that may be a little more involved.
I thought ADM took care of this.
ADM takes care of and that's what Councilman Hardy just said. This will not be obligating us to.
But why does the city get involved in ADM, which they take care of this and enforce the federal laws that go along with it?
Sure, and one of the options, one of the check marks on that permit is, do they have the ADM permit? Now, we can ensure before they disturb soil in our city that ADM is aware of their activity and they have the permit from ADM. This is not giving us that responsibility.
But there'll be a payment, a permit has to be paid involved with this,
It's a zero cost permit.
zero cost, okay?
But in terms of, I guess, a timeline or urgency in getting this done, if we needed to, I think from the people I've spoken to, the intent behind it, everybody's in support of it, but the way it reads, there was some concern maybe we needed to address that how the ordinance reads.
Sure, yeah, no, there's no.
So if we needed to make an amendment to maybe some of the way that it's read, this isn't something that necessarily had to be.
Yes,
crossed out.
that's totally possible.
Because the way it's currently written, you know, to disturb the soil more than 1 acre, if a person wants to purchase a piece of property, 3 or 4 acres, and it is, say it's a lot of large growth trees, but yet there's a lot of undergrowth, privet and such, that they want to go in, so they're gonna disturb more
So
than.
some of the consideration on that is if you're in the city limits, it's a 4 acre tract. I mean, is there a sewer easement running through it before you take off and go grade work, go tear it off or anything like that? We'd like to look at and see, is there a sewer? Do we have a sewer line running through there that you might not know about before you go run the bulldozer? So,
But even if somebody does tear it up, though, they're liable for their damage on it anyway.
yeah, that there's gonna be some residents that are, you know, without sewer or some issues that we could have got ahead of. But it's a zero cost and it's simple. So in that instance that you're talking about, we would like to have an opportunity before you go to disturbing all that soil to look it over. Should be easy. That's the goal.
Well, yeah, I totally understand that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times that we pass stuff with an intent, and then by the time that it's passed and is put into action, the intent is not always what is exercised.
Sure, so in that example, 4 acres in the city limit, even though it's clearing it for his kids to play in the backyard, we would like to have an opportunity to point out to him, hey, we have a sewer line running through here, you'll need to make consideration on that when you go do this.
Because I know the concerns that we'll probably need, it just seems like it's adding another layer of bureaucracy and more paperwork that there's already, and I understand all of what you have to do for subdivisions and commercial development.
Sure.
Totally understand.
Yeah.
But does this pertain to outside of the city limits where the sphere of the police jurisdiction?
For the planning jurisdiction, I think the ordinance is written that way. I think we should do that. We also have utilities running in those areas.
Because it just, there's a lot of, especially when you get outside, there's
Yeah,
a lot
there's
of
a lot
large
more-
landowners inside
more
city
rural
limits,
areas.
and then, you get in there, and that's a whole nother
And that's
can of worms.
if we want to, that's something we can consider definitely, removing it from there and keeping it to the city limits. And this is something I want you guys to know, this is very commonplace, this particular, if you guys look into it, where of cities our size, like I said, about 50%.
I left that part out.
Yeah, this is very commonplace. About 50% of cities our size do this. As we are seeing more development, as development's getting more rapid, it is becoming more necessary that we do bring this on.
I just, mess around and do like some other cities and states that just regulate every last thing you do, and then where's your property rights, and what you can do, as far as like an individual want to work on their property, not commercial developments, not subdivisions and large,
And where we wrote that acre, and that we can move that, but the goal, as I was talking to Chris earlier, the goal on that greater than acre was to try to omit the guy that's gonna do it to put a house up on his own land. We're trying to work around that. We're really looking at the larger.
can we not work towards on that?
I would say, I mean, for commercial development, subdivision development, I think the intent behind it to be able to, for them to possibly start clearing, taking trees out, and prepping, I think that's a wonderful idea, but where the biggest concern I think we all have is that the city steps in on a personal property issue and issues a permit, whether there's a cost or not. We're not running ADM checks, we're not doing any of that stuff, so you're still relying on the homeowner or the personal property to do those things. And if we gave them a clear to do it, and something goes on and they make their neighbor mad, and it becomes a civil issue, we're gonna get pulled into that. And I think that's what we need to word this in a way to protect us, so that we're not getting involved in personal property and civil issues.
So I think the ordinance is written that the regulation on soil erosion will still fall on the state agency.
I understand, but if we issue a permit for somebody, for example, I have 5 acres and I want to clear the back of it off and make use of, like you said, for kids to play, and it causes a drainage issue that unforeseen issue, and it dumps over on the Eric's land, and he's unhappy with it. Well, the first thing an attorney's gonna say, well, city issues him a permit to do it. That's my concern, is to make sure we don't get caught up in litigation, liability of it. We just need to word it where it protects, and plus we don't need to be in anybody's personal property. If somebody wants to take some trees down, and they have the land and acreage to do it, they should be able to do that.
That's my biggest.
Looking toward a lawsuit is the way I'm looking at it. It looked like you're overstepping ADM to start with. Why not just leave it alone? We don't need it.
Or could we just not reword our current, if there's a problem with our current wording in the commercial development, if that's what's holding up a commercial development, can we not just fix the wording on why we're having to add this?
We certainly can, but that's about a 2-year process.
I kind of against this as well. I just believe it's an overstep. You're trying to tell somebody how to handle their own personal property. We got enough regulations here in this town, what you can build on the property, what it can be used for. We have permitted for all that. And then if somebody that doesn't read the paper, doesn't pay attention to city council, that doesn't see it online, there's a $500 fine that somebody may get that doesn't know.
The $500 fine is only for not obeying the stop work order. First, we issue a stop work, and then they have an opportunity to come in and do the permit. We walk through the permit process, and then the fine is only if they disregard the stop work.
I just disagree with it. Totally, even though the stop work order is my property and I got acre land, I want to do something, I shouldn't have the city tell me I can't do it. Because I already have regulations that says for the building and what you can put on it already, and ADM covers everything else.
I think we find a way to take the personal property piece out of it.
We can.
By rewarding it in there that way, I think.
But I think you guys also need to take into consideration that there still is the protection of our assets. So we've had some development go on where, luckily it didn't, but our assets could have been impacted. And then we're in a lawsuit trying to get money out of somebody, where they broke our infrastructure. They might not have the money, and we really could have got ahead. I think I asked you guys to do some research on this on your own. I think you'll see that it's highly common at this point. And again, with all the development we're seeing, the pace and the fact that it's not going to slow down, hopefully, it's time that we get on board with this.
All right, any other questions of Drew? Any other comments? Thank you, Drew, I appreciate it.
But please, guys, on your own, we need to
All right, we will. Thank you, Drew. Number 3, that one has, that's dependent on the DOT, so we really need to either remove the hold or table it. We'll, when we call for that one, if we don't receive a second, then it will go along. Number 4 is a resolution to adopt the fiscal year 2024 capital budget. Our finance person is gonna tell y'all about that capital budget information. That's sponsored by me, but she's gonna give y'all the lowdown on that.
I'm sure y'all have had an opportunity to look over it. First, I will, just go over how it was funded. You know from your banking statements, there's this one account that says sales and use tax. That, account is no longer used, I'll put quotes on that, for financing city operations. I kind of set it aside for capital. And, from the capital funding from last year, it was that motor fuel tax, which is not, it doesn't have to be appropriated for a certain thing. And when I look back through our records, I noticed that that fee for 21, 22, and 23 had not been moved to that Wells Fargo account. So that's where you see on the capital funding sheet, those 3 amounts. So that's included as well, for a total of about $1,585,000. Also, and Casey and I had talked about this, the Sportplex in prison as well has surplus this year, and they did last year as well. So a portion, the Sportplex capital is going to be funded from their net income. So that's that. And also the golf course, as you guys know, I'm working on the fiscal policy, and a part of that is that we want to have a fund balance for each of the outlining funds, the golf, Parks and Rec, and the others, of at least 50% of their operating expenses. So that's where that number is coming from that I'm using for the call. They have in their account enough to cover that 50% reserve that I would like to have. So the remaining amount, I'm using a portion of it, just a portion of it toward, assisting with the funding of their capital.
That's good.
Now, the sportsplex isn't from net revenue, it's from the sales tax.
Yes.
I just want to make sure everybody understands, it's from the 0.25% sales tax that gets created through sales tax each year. That we've been able to have a couple good years, so we're going to use some of that money in there.
So the listing, what I did, I gave you what the final one, that's the sheet with all of my pre-color down on my color. And I also gave you the exhaustive list of everything for the next 5 years that the general fund departments have asked for. So that you'll kind of have it in the back of your mind of the things that you need. So do you have any questions about anything that's on the list?
I just got one, and you've already covered it, just make sure the public knows. The paving at the pro shop is covered from reserves,
Yes.
and then the baseball parking lot is covered from available funding from the sports plan.
That's correct.
That way we're not using acre of money to pay these parking lots.
Yeah, that's from reserve and available funding.
Right, thank
And
you.
that parking lot is, golf course is for 80 acres, and that's why we wanted to make sure that it was put on capital.
Any other questions? Thank you, Ms. Roman, we appreciate that. Number 5, resolution to set a public hearing to rezone property located at 3065 Highway 63 South from reserve residential to B2 general business. That is sponsored by Mayor Baird.
We have an individual who wants to develop that property and currently it's zoned residential. He's got some retail space that, he's interested in starting off with, developing the front part of the property. So he's asking that it be rezoned to B2.
Any questions? We gotta remind you to please talk in mics, and y'all have to share. We have mics that are going down. Number 6, an ordinance to establish the annual salary of the mayor for the 2025 quadrennium, and it's sponsored by myself. And also number 7 is for the council members. Mayor and council members the last thing we could find for their salary was done in 2004. As you know, if we do anything with the salary for mayor and council member, it has to happen prior to next election cycle, and it won't go into effect until the next council and mayor is placed in use. This, like I said, they haven't had a raise or anything since 2004, and that would be us increasing them. I'll let Romy explain how she came up with the numbers. Did I put you on the spot?
Okay, so the number I used was 20%, and, from what your current salary is, and that was because the employees receive 15%, and you guys know when we did the 15% increase for the employees, I included a 15% increase for the council, not knowing that I couldn't do that. And that's what you're using currently for your discretionary. So I figured that with the employees also getting 2% a year, at the point where the new council will come in, the employees will be at 19%, so that's the reason I said 20, since you wouldn't get another increase on residents' cost of living until 446.
Any questions or comments on that?
Yeah, I've got some comments.
Yes, sir.
You know, we have until the next election is almost 2 years off. We've got a year and a half to pass this raise for the council and the mayor. Why are we in such a hurry? Let's wait until February 6, 2025, look at the financial situation of the city, and then determine if the council needs, and the mayor needs a raise. Some of these people sitting here could very well be involved in it. In fact, most of them probably would, because we've got multi-term people sitting up here, 5 out of 6. So why not let's just wait and let's don't hurry this. It looks like it's politically inclined when you try to do this too early. Maybe the reason is we're gonna let it die down before the next election. There's really no reason to do it now. Thank you.
Actually, our clerk is going through and looking at things, and because it hadn't been a raise since 2004, that's why she brought it to my attention and asked if we could add it to, if I wanted to, and I told her, sure, we'll go ahead and do it. We can wait on it if you would like to, that's up to you all. We'll call for the vote, and if it passed, we'll vote. If not, we'll hold it until we come back later on.
I'm in agreement that there does need to be some addressing to, for sure, the mayor's salary. I'm not really, I know the 20% was given, but I think that's more of an arbitrary number. Like we went through this, I guess, in 2020 or 2019 when we had this conversation, and we kind of looked at other cities and how our budget matches, not necessarily by population, but how our budget matches other places. So I don't necessarily know if this is the number that is truly reflective. And I do know, all right, so this will be going from 40 to 54, and we include the 15,000 for the superintendent of utilities, so it puts roughly around 70,000, which I think if we want to pay the mayor that salary, let's pay the mayor that salary. But something I think that's more important and more pressing is that we're in a position now that 15,000 essentially is being given to help offset the cost. And I think when it was put in, that was fine, but realistically speaking, very rarely are we going to have someone who walks into the mayor's office, anyone up here, present or past, who has the skill set or has the qualifications to run 4 different utilities. So you're essentially paying somebody $15,000 a year to run a $32 million, $35 million business. That really add up to me. So I think more so what we need to look at is what it would cost from a council perspective, really look at the position of funding for superintendent utilities. So that would help us maybe forecast out a little bit better and not put us in the position we just did 3 years ago where we had to do all these raising of rates because it had not been done previously. But if we had someone in a position that had the expertise to be able to forecast out, be able to look at infrastructure and say, okay, your gas is making $6 a year, but it really should be making $9. Why is it making $9? How can we offset the cost somewhere else? So for me, we do need to address the mayor's salary, but I think the superintendent of utilities is a position that as a council, we really need to look at addressing.
And that is a separate, that is not a part of these.
It is not, yeah, my bad.
It's not a part of these, that would actually be a separate conversation about the superintendent of utilities.
You know, again, my problem was with the timing of it. I don't quite understand why we have to do it a year and a half before we have to.
All right, any other questions or comments?
I guess I would like to say just something. I know when we, the ordinance was passed to increase the sewer rates, we also put in there that gave the responsibility, if I remember correctly, for the superintendent for each utility that they saw fit to suggest an increase at that time, if I'm not mistaken.
That's
So I
correct.
think that's already been addressed.
Yeah, but I don't, no, that's a separate conversation, but I did want to just bring up, that was my opinion on just a position within the city that I think has been neglected, and it's something that I think people would agree with if you looked at generally speaking. And so I think it is good that you have superintendents of utilities, but at the end of the day, or superintendent of these individual utilities, but that still has to fall back to a mayor. And realistically speaking, regardless of whoever's in that seat, I'm not sure we've ever had someone with the true qualifications to be someone who handled 30 million plus in infrastructure or in utility revenue and then $1 billion in assets. That's a pretty major job. And so that's not to discredit anyone in the seat now or anyone who potentially may run for the seat later, but just being realistic and being progressive in terms of our thinking, it would make sense to me that if I had somebody that was running a $32 million business, I wouldn't be paying them $15,000 a year. So that just to me doesn't seem like it makes sense. So I think that's something, aside from this, is a conversation that the council needs to have.
So if you pay them more, that's gonna make them more qualified?
No, what I'm saying is that if you paid, if a salary was equated with professional experience, then we would have someone with qualifications to come in. So under the current structure, the mayor is responsible for being the superintendent of utilities. It was only put in so that you could increase the pay of the mayor because the mayor's salary was so low. So there are two different issues, but the reason the superintendent's pay became part of the mayor's salary was because the mayor's salary was so low. So that was a way to help offset it. So either we need to address the mayor's salary and really address it, and or look at a superintendent of utilities. So again, this is not an indictment on anyone that is in the seat or has previously been in the seat. But looking at how we got to where we were in 2020, I'm pretty positive we had someone who had the qualifications to be able to run a business, which is what these utilities are, not just from a revenue standpoint, raising taxes, raising rates, but actually looking at how can we benefit down the road. So there's some things from a financial standpoint, from an infrastructure standpoint that needs to be addressed. And I'm not sure that the mayor has the time and or qualifications to handle a job of this nature, because it takes, we've seen it, the majority of the person's time that enters this office immediately is spent on utilities. Whereas the job of the mayor isn't just being someone who oversees utilities. There's a whole other plethora of things that take place. Again, this is a conversation that probably needs to happen at a different time, but while we were addressing salary and the mayor's salary is tied to the superintendent of utilities, this was a conversation that needed to be brought up, from my opinion. But having said that, that's a conversation that we can have at a different time.
Well, and too, kind of what Scott's talking about, I mean, that helps give some continuity when you've got new election cycles and all that stuff. We don't have a whole lot of continuity at times. If you go with if we were to have a new mayor every 4 years, and that happens in certain cities, then you kind of lose ground on some of that. And then the department heads have to learn a whole new personality and how to work with this person and how to juggle the whole thing. So with somebody that has that experience, almost it would be like a city manager, but they're just over utilities, you don't lose. You got somebody while the department head is worried about their department. This individual can be looking ahead for projects, doing the footwork for the future projects. So that the department head is not stretched so thin. You got one person that's doing a lot of the groundwork and the talking and the figuring and all that stuff.
This was topic of conversation. As Councilman Gill said, doesn't really matter at the moment.
Right.
But that is a position that I think needs to
But
be.
in a couple of years, it will matter.
Yes.
That is the other reason why I was okay with us bringing it, ahead so that we could actually start those conversations and figure out where we are, where we want to be for that next cycle. So, but anyway, we will continue those conversations, and we will go ahead and proceed. Number 8, resolution to award bid number 24-01 to Southern Recycling for demolition of the former City Hall and Police Department buildings in an amount not to exceed $175,000. That is sponsored by Mayor Baird. Any questions of anyone on any of that? Number 9, resolution to award bid number 23-19 to Avery Landscaping and Associates LLC for sidewalk improvements project number TAPUC-TA22909 at a cost not to exceed a little over $120,000. This is sponsored by Councilor Tapley. Yes, Amanda, go tell us about that.
You all been seeing this, the sidewalk project from, our soccer fields, and Chick-fil-A is part of the recreation drive as well. We did get the bids in based on, we have 2 alternates provided, we decided not to do that and pulled that off to a later date. So months back, you all passed a resolution that allowed us, or we agreed to outdot $138,000, I believe it was. And you can see it's part of your capital budget. Ms. Romeo allotted $140, but based on the spreadsheet that we got from our consultant, EFS, Michael Rice, it's $120,623 that we were estimated to pay for this project.
Any questions of Amanda? Thank you, Amanda. Number 10, resolution to amend the City of Alexander City, Alabama Personnel Manual, subset 11-4-22, health plan, and section 11-9, summary of city provided benefits. This is sponsored by Council President Pro Tem Hardy, and I think, Kathy's here to explain this to us.
This is really just to simplify the resolution as it is, as it stands today. For those employees with family insurance, the employee pays 42%, I think it is. Pays 42% of the cost, and the city 58%. And then any annual increase that Blue Cross passes on to us, the resolution says that we share that 50-50 with the employees. So this is just to simplify things and restate it and say that the city will pay 75% of family health insurance and the employee 25%, rather than 58-42 and 50% of increases. So it's just a simplification that does not add to our costs.
Okay.
Very little.
I don't guess it adds anything to the employees' cost.
No.
When we actually looked at the numbers, the previous formula, the city was actually paying about 74.12%. So we just rounded up to 75.
Yeah. Awesome. Any questions? Number 11, a resolution to authorize the Lake Martin Industrial Development Board to enter into a tax abatement agreement with Hyundai Motors Manufacturing Alabama LLC. This is sponsored by myself. We actually had this in an executive session, and it was just to agree to this tax abatement with Hyundai Motors. You all are aware of that. Any questions?
I guess one thing I'd like to say, I know our finance director advised us not to go along with this because we really can't afford it. I do want to be, to help a local business out with an abatement, but I don't know if we want to give that much. I'm going to make a suggestion instead of the full amount, maybe give $25,000 a year for 3 years and just show that we're giving something that might do all of it, because the city finance director has advised us not to do this.
What's the term of this abatement?
Yes, ma'am.
They're asking for 10 years, but you have the discretion to shorten that. You can do 3 years, 5 years, whatever you think. as Romy and I pointed out last time, that the sales tax portion we made is right off the top. That is the amount that it is. The term length refers to the property tax payment, which can be from 1 to 10 years. And I actually have numbers, I broke it down to what that could look like for 3 years, 5 years, and 10 years, if I can do that. And I also received a letter from Hyundai's council, kind of trying to justify why they're asking for 2 years. And it essentially says that they are required to house this equipment that they're purchasing for 18 years at SL Alabama because they use it for aftermarket parts. That's their justification. But you can see kind of after the letter, the first one is what your full 10 years would look like. And the very last number, that 498, that's what your total would be for 10 years. That's including the sales tax payment, which is 209 right on the top. And then the next one is 5 years. And then you'll see in red that I typed in, kind of broke it down to what it would be for 5 years. That's your total, 29. And then the next is 3 years, and the total would be 281.
Any questions?
And I did mention to you all last time that, I've spoken to their council several times. I've talked to the EDC offices in the other counties that have tier 1 suppliers, and the majority of the counties are going to grant the abatement in the term that they've asked for. There is 1 or 2 that's just going to do the 5 years. I think 1 had considered doing 3, but they decided to do 5. So, but it's completely up to you. We just have to have a resolution from the council before the Industrial Development Authority can abate your taxes. So,
Any other questions?
10 years is a long time for a tax payment for anybody.
I think the 3 kind of is in line with what Councilman Tappan is looking for anyway, so.
yeah, I like Councilman Tapley's suggestion, and I understand you're just trying to be generous to them and do something for them. But the way the law is written, it has to be a yearly term. It has to be 1 to 10 years. It can't just be an amount.
It could be good with the 3 years then.
3 years.
Can you do it 1 year at a time?
I don't think so. I don't know that 100% the answer to that question. But no, you cannot. I do know the answer to that question. You cannot, because once the project's placed in service, that's when the abatement starts. And the project, you can't go backwards on it once it's placed in service.
And you said it have to be the full 100%, can it be a percentage?
Of the sales tax? I think so.
Percentage of the taxes, period, maybe 25 or 50%, other than the 400 at the time.
I think the way the law is written, it has to be 100% of the non-educational portion of your tax. The only way that you can limit it is by the term, the yearly term, 1 to 10 years.
Based off that information, what would you suggest?
Which one's got again?
We got her.
I think he's already told us.
Yeah, with a compromise.
To be honest, my main concern was the sales tax. And sales tax is not given to them the first year, so we lose that regardless. That was my main concern.
Well, because that's
I'll
me.
leave that to
I mean, as Denise said, they did, last year they asked for this and we said no. Fully, 100% no. They did acquiesce and make a lot of changes, stop a lot of the temp work and all that. They did listen to what we said last year.
And I can give you their employment numbers, their current employment numbers. There's 744 current employees. They're the highest, in the county. They are the major employer in the county now. Their direct hires are at 691 and their temp hires are at 53. So those temp went way down. I think they're really trying.
Okay. We will do have, no public comments as no one signed up to speak. Comment from the mayor, comment from the finance director, comment from our city clerk, comment from our council, no executive session. We will then have adjournment. At this time, I'm gonna ask you all, I'm gonna call our, regular scheduled council meeting to order. And I'm gonna start with opening prayer, and then the next persons you will hear will be Sassy Sister. You all will please stand. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight just to say thank you, Lord. We thank you for the opportunity. We thank you for giving us the will and the mind to continue to do the things that need to be done to handle the business of this city. We ask you to bless every household. We ask you to give them what they need. And we ask you to show them that you are still Lord and still in control. Please take care of our children as they come out and do things for us. We want you to let them know that we love them and we appreciate them. We ask you to hold their hands and guide them through this life. Let them see you in us and in everyone they meet. These are our prayers we ask in Jesus' name. In Jesus' name I do pray. Amen. Sassy sisters, if you all will come up front. God walking like y'all coming to the healing.
Like y'all got in trouble.
There's flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank y'all. Karen, do you want to get a picture of them before?
Yes. Please. Stand. Let's get on. Smile. Thank y'all so much. Great job. Hey, Daddy. Man. I miss you. All right, at this time, we'll need approval of our minutes from our October 16th work session and regular, meeting.
Motion to approve both sets of minutes as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, Counselor Tapley,
Yay.
Counselor Hardy,
Yay.
Counselor Eric Brown,
Yay.
Counselor Chris Brown,
Yay.
Counselor Keel,
Yay.
Counselor Coleman, yay. We'll need approval of our agenda for tonight, November the 6th, 2023 regular meeting.
I make a motion to remove item number 3 from the agenda. Then I'd recommend we approve the amended agenda.
We have a motion to remove item number 3 and approve the rest of the agenda. We have a motion and second. Roll call vote, Counselor Tapley,
Yay.
Counselor Hardy,
Yay.
Counselor Eric Brown,
Yay.
Counselor Chris Brown,
Yay.
Counselor Keel,
Yay.
Counselor Coleman, yay. This time we'll have reports from standing committee, finance committee. The revenue department is preparing to mail out renewal notices. After receiving quotes for postcards and postage, it looks like we will be saving around $500 when we send out those renewal notices this year compared to previous years. The wharf received its first abatement payment at the end of October as per the development agreement between the city and the wharf. Scooters received an abatement payment at the end of October as per the development agreement between the city and Scooters. Wicker Point should be receiving an abatement payment in the next few weeks based off invoices that were submitted by Russell Lands. An update of the total rebate amount paid out to Russell Lands in 2023 will be provided to the council in the coming weeks. We want to thank the Revenue and Finance Department for the awesome job that they do. We would not be able to do anything without them, so thank y'all. Public Safety Committee, Councilor Eric Brown.
Move forward.
Utilities Committee, Councilor Keel.
The light department has been working at Gateway, resetting poles for future power. We also started putting up the Christmas decorations. We have a crew installing gas at cottages at Russell Medical. We're still doing valve maintenance and have a couple of new services to run at Williams Road. And the light department got an award. It's for area-wide optimization program, 3-year optimized plan award. I just read it to you. For its standing commitment to excellence of operation that maximizes public health protection by achieving the optimization goals for microbial removal as established by ADEM Drinking Water Branches Observation Program in EPA region. Congratulations to the light department.
Parks and Recreation, Councilor Chris Brown.
The gym floor at Cooper Rec, the old floor was torn up last October 30th, so a couple weeks ago, or a week ago now, I guess. The new floor is starting to go down. It's estimated to be a 3 to 4 week project, so won't be long and the new floors will be ready over at Cooper Rec. Our 5th and 6th grade volleyball team finished first in the District 5 tournament on October 28th. So I want to say congratulations to all that participated in that event. Basketball registration is going on right now. You have till November 17th to get registered. The cost is $60. And remember that it's all online at acprratedesk.com. In case he's proud of me because I said it right for the first time, I think.
Close, it's close.
Downtown Christmas this year is going to be on December 9th. There'll be some more information to follow. And this year, Santa's going to make his special visit on the fire truck on December 18th and 19th around the local community. So be looking forward to that. I want to give a real good shout out to our golf course. We had over 31,000 rounds of golf last year on our golf course, which is equivalent to a lot of the larger scale golf courses in the state of Alabama. So just want to say thank you to Matthew Keel and the complete staff out there. They've done a really good job. If you get a chance, like I always say, get out and play around a golf, or just go out there and see Matthew and ride around on a golf cart and just see what he's done. They've done a really good job. So, and revenue's already up for this year from last year. So we're starting out strong.
Public Works Committee, Council President Pro Tem Hardy.
The environmental and street departments are assisting with the removal of dilapidated structures during the month of November.
Buildings and Property, Councilor Tablett.
Children's Library hosted a trunk or treat and also a costume party, so I think all the kids had a great time there. November the 8th, the children's story time, they will craft letters to the veterans, so if you got any kids might write a letter to the veteran, they could send them to how to fill at the veteran home. And November the 22nd will mark the 60th anniversary of John F. Kennedy's, President John F. Kennedy's assassination. So Michael Lewis will set up a public display on the main floor of the library, and he'll have photographs, videos, and other memorabilia of that timeline. And the hours, it'll be during library hours, November the 13th through the 18th. You might go out and see that.
No reports from special committee, no public hearing, no report on the status of our city finances, proclamations. Mayor?
This proclamation is for the City of Alexander City Recycling Week. Whereas Alexander City is proud of our environmental resources that make our city unique, and whereas citizens are encouraged to recycle in an effort to preserve our natural environment. Whereas by decreasing the amount of waste sent to landfills and incinerators, recycling also conserves valuable natural resources such as timber, water, and minerals. And whereas recycled materials are a major feedstock for manufacturing and essential in the supply chain, and whereas recycling can mitigate pollution by reducing the need to collect new raw materials, save energy, and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. And whereas reducing, reusing, and recycling plays a critical role in Alexander City achieving a more sustainable future, strengthens our economy and well-being, and creates jobs. And whereas Alexander City Recycle Week is an opportunity to raise awareness about recycling programs throughout the state and the important part recycling plays in our everyday lives. Now, therefore, I, Woody Baird, Mayor of Alexander City, do hereby extend greetings and best wishes to all observing November 13th to the 19th, 2023 as Alexander City Recycling Week.
No unfinished business, new business number 1.
Resolution to authorize the mayor to sign a lease contract for a Xerox copy machine for the municipal complex.
Need a motion to approve the resolution as written.
Make a motion to approve the resolution as written.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, Counselor Tapley,
Yay.
Counselor Hardy,
Yeah.
Counselor Eric Brown,
Yay.
Counselor Chris Brown.
Yay.
Counselor Keel.
Yay.
Counselor Colvin, yay. Number 2,
Ordinance to regulate land disturbance within the city of Alexander City, Alabama.
Make a motion that we table this and really get some of the verbiage.
Second.
Second motion.
Are you tabling until a date or indefinitely?
I would say that we'll discuss it at our next work session and go from there
So that would be.
in 2 weeks,
in 2 weeks. I mean,
discussion and work session. Roll call vote. Counselor Tapley,
Yes, to table it.
Counselor Hardy,
Yeah.
Eric Brown,
Yes, to table.
Chris Brown,
yay.
Keel,
Yes, to table.
oh, yay. Yes to table. So we will be tabling that, until we can get verbiage or something with. Number 3 was removed. Number 4,
Resolution to adopt the fiscal year 2024 capital budget.
need a motion to approve the resolution as written.
Make a motion to approve the resolution as written.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, Counselor Tapley,
Yay.
Counselor Hardy,
Yay.
Counselor Eric Brown,
Yay.
Counselor Chris Brown,
Yay.
Counselor Keel,
Yay.
Counselor Colvin, yay. Number 5,
Resolution to set a public hearing to rezone property located at 3065 Highway 63 South from reserve residential to general business.
we need a motion to approve the resolution as written.
Make a motion to approve the resolution as written.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, Counselor Tapley,
Yay.
Counselor Hardy,
Yay.
Counselor Eric Brown,
Yay.
Counselor Chris Brown,
Yay.
Counselor Keel,
Yay.
Counselor Colvin, yay. Number 6,
Ordinance to establish the annual salary of the mayor for the 2025 quadrennium.
Madam President,
yes, sir.
I make a motion that this be tabled until February the 6th, 2025 for further deliberation and consideration.
Can we change it to indefinitely, not?
It's a hard date.
Can we just say indefinitely and not a specific date? That's for 6 and 7.
You can, but he has made a motion.
Yes,
So either somebody seconds it or they don't.
okay. That motion from Mr. Keel failed.
I make a motion to table ordinance 6 and ordinance 7 indefinitely.
Second.
We have a motion, to table 6 and 7 indefinitely, so we will call for a roll call. Any other discussion on that? We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, Counselor Tapley,
Yay.
Counselor Hardy,
Yay.
Counselor Eric Brown,
Yay.
Counselor Chris Brown,
Yay.
Counselor Keel,
Yay.
Counselor Colvin, and yay, and that tabled 6 and 7. Number 8,
Resolution to award bid number 2401 to Southern Recycling for demolition of the former City Hall and Police Department buildings in an amount not to exceed $175,000.
need a motion to approve the resolution as written.
Make a motion to approve the resolution as written.
Second.
Any discussion?
Hey, when they looking at, when would start date on that?
Around May first.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote, Counselor Tappy.
Yay.
Counselor Hardy.
Yay.
Counselor Eric Brown.
Yay.
Counselor Chris Brown.
Yay.
Counselor Keel.
Yay.
Counselor Colvin, nay. Number 9,
Resolution to award bid number 2319 to Avery Landscaping and Associates LLC for sidewalk improvements, project number TAPUC TA 22909 at a cost not to exceed $120,623.
need a motion to approve the resolution as written.
Make a motion to approve the resolution as written.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, Counselor Tapley.
Yay.
Counselor Hardy.
Yay.
Counselor Eric Brown.
Yay.
Counselor Chris Brown.
Yay.
Counselor Keel.
Yay.
Counselor Colvin, yay. Number 10,
Resolution to amend the City of Alexander City, Alabama Personnel Manual, Section 11422 Health Plan, and Section 119 Summary of City Provided Benefits.
need a motion to approve the resolution as written.
Make a motion to approve the resolution as written.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, Counselor Tapley.
Yay.
Counselor Hardy.
Yay.
Counselor Eric Brown.
Yay.
Counselor Chris Brown.
Yay.
Counselor Keel.
Yay.
Counselor Colvin, yay. Number 11,
Resolution to authorize the Lake Martin Industrial Development Board to enter into a tax abatement agreement with Hyundai Motor Manufacturing Alabama LLC.
need a motion to approve the resolution as written.
I make a motion to approve the resolution with a 3-year agreement.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the resolution with a 3-year agreement. Any discussion? Roll call vote, Counselor Tapley.
Yay.
Counselor Hardy.
Yay.
Counselor Eric Brown.
Yay.
Counselor Chris Brown.
Yay.
Counselor Keel.
Yay.
Counselor Colvin, yay. At this time, we will entertain comments from the mayor.
I'd just like to remind everybody that, Saturday, November 11th is Veterans Day. And the reason we're sitting here right now is because people have served and because we have veterans that have helped maintain our Constitution in this country, the freedom that we enjoy. And so on Saturday, if you sit around, contemplate why we're here, who's helped us stay here, and if you see a veteran, thank a veteran. Also, we will have an open house November 30th here in the City Hall. When we moved in, COVID was raging and we never had got to have an open house and let the citizens come in and see the building. So November 30th, we're gonna do that. And we're gonna open it up. We're gonna have music, food out here in the atrium and invite everybody to come. And one last thing, if I could get everybody that's hearing me right now, Jim Feast, the director at the hospital, had an accident this weekend. He's in ICU in Birmingham, and he needs your prayers. Thank you.
Comments from the finance director?
I just want to make the council aware that the auditors will be on site for the next, for Tuesday, Wednesday of this week, and Monday of next week. They are finishing 21, and Jackson Thornton is starting on 22. So we have two working at the same time. And to all our veterans, I say thank you for your service.
Comments from the city clerk?
Our next work session and city council meeting will be the 20th at 4:30 and 5:30, which will also be the Monday before Thanksgiving.
Comments from the council, Counselor Tapley?
Thank everybody for coming out tonight, and just, again, thanks to our veterans. Thank you, Mayor, for your service, and anybody else in the audience or that can hear. I definitely appreciate the veterans. I had somebody, I guess this would be Piper, you know, we're gonna have another electrical, recycle day, like TVs and stuff. Had somebody ask me.
January or February.
Okay. And I guess the next thing is, I had somebody complain about our downtown decorations, and I know that's not us, but it is us, it's part of Main Street. And, you know, you were right by it every day, you don't pay any attention to it, just brought your attention, I thought, these do look pretty rough, the ribbons and all. And I remember as a kid, and I didn't think about it until this was brought to my attention, when I was young, we would ride around the different towns and look at the Christmas lights on the poles and all, and I think if we're gonna draw more people downtown this time of the year to bring back memories that I had, that we need to take a little more pride and try to do something better downtown and around town, period. So, you know, I'd like to see maybe in our next budget, put some money towards putting some lights out that looks good. I know there's talking about putting them out here on our posts, some of the other ones we used to have. So, that's my 2 cents worth for this evening.
Counselor Hardy?
Thank you for your attendance this evening and for watching us on whatever platform it is that you're watching us on. I do appreciate the insightful nature of our employees of looking down the line and figuring out ways that we can do things a little bit differently or address our issues. So we do appreciate everything that's being done behind the scenes that most people don't get a chance to see. Again, to echo the mayor's statements as well as Mayor Tapley, Councilman Tapley. We're very appreciative and grateful to all of our veterans, and we understand that without them, a lot of the things that we take for granted wouldn't be of availability. So, you know, I hope everyone has a great rest of the day and evening and for the rest of the week. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thank you.
Councilor Brown?
Thank everybody coming out of the hallways. Thank you to the veterans that serve. Thank you to their families as well, because it's not just the person serving, it's their families as well. So thank you for them. Thank you everyone who came out. Thank you, Mayor and your staff, for all the work that always goes on every single day. You guys have a great rest of the week.
Counselor Chris Brown?
Just thank everybody for coming out and echo, as everybody said, thank our veterans, those men and women that have served for our country. Also like to say, you know, it's Thursday night, first round of the playoffs, the Wildcats will be here. They're hosting Sydney and Lanier out of Montgomery. So let's pack the place. There's a lot going on Thursday night around town too. So if you get a chance, get out, visit downtown, as Bobby was talking about, or go play around the golf.
Counselor Keel?
Ditto, appreciate all the veterans. We have some pretty weather, we're going into Thanksgiving and Christmas season, so get out, enjoy the weather, go uptown, spend some money.
First of all, I would like to say, for me, for our veterans, we serve as council members, so I thank all of the veterans for their sacrifice. Not only the sacrifice that they put their life on the line, but the sacrifice of their time spent with their family members. The sacrifice of having to worry every day about whether they were gonna come home. So thank you to the mayor and all of our veterans for all of your sacrifices, because that's something I couldn't do. So thank y'all so very much. Without y'all, none of us would be here. I ask that you all continue to keep this city and all of its employees lifted in prayer. I believe that prayer changes things. I thank the city employees for the great job that you all do. I thank our city council members for always working together with each other. We make a decision and that decision is made. We don't go back and forth. So thank y'all for the opportunity. We need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor? Thank y'all. Have a great week. Go Wildcats.
Hey, hey.